We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as you're able and join me in the welcoming of City Council and the playing of the national anthem and the reading of the invocation.
Thank you. We'll call this meeting to order and I'll read the invocation. As we come together today, we recognize the great responsibilities laid upon us. Our council will always strive to understand the needs of the people we serve and to use power wisely and well. Our purpose is to establish and maintain a city of prosperity and righteousness where freedom prevails and where justice rules. Let us also not forget those who served our community and who are no longer with us so that we can continue to do the work we must in their memory. Please be seated. Okay, has the roll call been taken, Mr. Clerk?
Through the chair, roll call has been taken.
Okay, declarations of conflict of interest. Seeing none, I have noted here that Councillor Hunt has one. We'll get her to declare that when she arrives. Okay, we'll do separation of items. Before we separate items, the following items are already separated. 12.1.1 Clarence Street Rail Line update. Is separated because of Councillor Hunt's conflict, as well as we have a delegation for this item. 12.1.4 year 2024 capital projects funding pre-approvals because there's an amendment from Councillor McCurry. 12.2.3 housing stability services update, financial impact. Councillor Samuel asked for this one. 12.3.4 clerk's department policy amendments, amendment from Councillor Carpenter. Are there any other separations? Councillor McCurry.
Thank you, Chairman. 12.4.6, which is the quarterly status of contract awards.
Right, Ben. Sorry, that was 12.4.6. Thank you. Others? Councillor Van Tilburg.
From the minutes, 11.2, item 4.5, and item 12.5 from the committee reports, planning committee.
Sorry, the list of several pages here. Can you just give me the numbers one more time?
From the minutes, 11.2, item 4.5 for the special councils. And from the planning committee, 12.5, there's only one item on there. That's the zoning bylaw for 264 Erie Ave.
Councillor Samuel.
So I had two. So I think you said 12.2.3. Yes, or the other one?
Yes.
Okay, so I
12.2.3.
also need 12.2.5, please.
Any other separations? Seeing none. We need a mover to put these on the floor. Items not separated, moved by Counselor Sullivan, seconded by Counselor McCurry. I'll ask the clerk to read the ones being voted on and call the vote, please.
Through the chair, the following items are subject to the vote from the Committee of the Whole Operations Report 12-1-2, 2023 Climate Change Action Plan and Emissions Inventory Annual Update, 12-1-3 GRCA Category 2 Programs and Services Memorandum of Understanding, 12-1-6 Water Meter Upgrade Project Notice of Project Commencement from the Social Services Committee Report, 12-2-1, 2023 Annual Update on Housing Development, 12-2-2, 2023 Brantford Grant Point in Time Count Report, 12-2-4 Community and Affordable Housing Overview from the Committee of the Whole Planning and Administration Report, 12-3-1 Amendment Number 1 to the Downtown Community Improvement Plan, 12-3-2 City of Brantford Emergency Management Program and Emergency Response Plan Bylaw Update, 12-3-3 Master Fire Plan Update, 12-3-6 Economic Development, Tourism and Cultural Initiatives Advisory Committee Report, 12-3-7 Brantford Heritage Committee Report, 12-3-8 Annual Update on Street Naming, 12-3-9 Brantford Sports Council Tournament Capital of Ontario 25th Anniversary. From the Finance Committee Report, 12-4-1 2023 Variance Update to include the Brantford Police Service, 12-4-2 2024 Property Tax Policy, 12-4-3 External Auditor Annual Independence Letter, Engagement Letter and Audit Plan, 12-4-4 Quarterly Reserve and Reserve Fund Update, 12-4-5 Multi-Year City Budget 2024 Public Engagement Campaign, 12-4-7 Temporary Borrowing for the Municipality, and 12-5-1 from the Planning Committee Report, Zoning Bylaw Amendment PZ-14-23-264 Erie Avenue.
Yes, of course. 12-5 is separated.
Just a correction, 12-5-1 was separated, so that one is not subject to the vote. All items not separated for discussion purposes carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 10-0. Members of council voting in favor are as follows: Councilors Sullivan, Celeste McCreary, Carpenter, Van Tilburg, Samuel Hunt, Martin, Caputo, and Sokoli.
Okay. We have two proclamations on tonight's agenda. Councilor Carpenter, can you please move all the proclamations, state your seconder, and read proclamation 8.1?
Moved by myself and seconded by my ward mate, Councillor Hunt, that proclamations be received and approved. And do you want me to read 8.1? Whereas Superior Mesenteric Artery Syndrome, SMAS, is a rare illness that affects 0.013% to 0.03% of the population. And whereas SMAS is a digestive condition that occurs when the duodenum, the first part of the small intestine, is compressed between two arteries, the aorta and the superior mesenteric artery, and causes partial or complete blockage of the duodenum. And whereas SMSA symptoms vary based on severity, but can be severely debilitating. Symptoms include, but are not limited to, abdominal pain, fullness, nausea, vomiting, and or weight loss, and is typically due to a loss of the mesenteric fatty tissue that surrounds the superior mesenteric artery. And whereas because it is a rare condition, one of the greatest tools in the fight to end MSAS is raising awareness. Now therefore be resolved that Council of the Corporation of the City of Brantford hereby proclaims January 28, 2024 as Superior Mesenteric Artery Syndrome Awareness Day in the City of Brantford. Thank you.
Councilor Scully, can you read the next proclamation? I'd love to, thank you. Bell Let's Talk Day, January 24th, 2024. Whereas January 24th, 2024 marks the 14th annual Bell Let's Talk Day, a day of conversation, support, and positive change for mental health. And whereas the City of Brantford supports positive mental health for all citizens and members of our community and seeks to improve the lives of the 1 in 5 Canadians who will experience a mental illness or mental health issue in their lifetime. And whereas raising the Bell Let's Talk flag is a visible reminder to the members of the community that mental health matters, that help is available, and that we are committed to creating change. And whereas Bell Let's Talk Day promotes mental health awareness, acceptance, and action built on 4 key pillars: fighting stigma, improving access to care, supporting world-class research, and leading by example in workplace mental health. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the City of Brantford hereby proclaims Wednesday, January the 24th in the year 2024 as Bell Let's Talk Day in the City of Brantford.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, would you please take the vote on the proclamations?
The proclamations carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 11-0. Members of council voting in favor are as follows: Councillors Sullivan, Celeste, McCreary, Carpenter, Van Tilburg, Samuel, Hunt, Martin, Caputo, Sicoli, and Mayor Davis.
Right, we'll now move into presentation delegations, and there's one registered delegation for this evening. Prior to hearing the delegations, I'd like to remind those in the meeting today of the following rules of decorum as set forth in the city's procedural bylaw, and they are as follows. No person shall display any sign, banner, or placard in the meeting room other than materials that, in the opinion of the chair, are legitimate audiovisual aids necessary in connection with any presentation made to council. 2, all persons present shall use polite and respectful language and shall refrain from the use of any language or the making of any gesture that is disrespectful or offensive. All persons addressing council shall speak only on the subject in debate and shall not speak on any other subject. No person shall applaud participants in debate or engage in conversation behavior that may disrupt the proceedings of the meeting. And so we have one delegation this evening. I believe they're here to speak to item 12.1.1, the Clarence Street Rail Line update. I believe it's a delegation from the company Ingenia. So, gentlemen, if you'd like to come forward, please. I'd ask that you identify yourselves, please. Confirm that you are here speaking on behalf of Ingenia, and then you'll have 10 minutes to make your presentation inclusive of any questions members may have for you.
Good evening, Mayor Davis. Good evening, Councillor. I am Yves Jimmy. I'm the Group General Counsel for Ingenia Group, and I'm accompanied with Ken Pilla.
Good evening. My name is Kenneth Peel. I'm assisting Ingenia Polymers Corp. as well as its affiliate, the Numbered Railway Company 2427811 Ontario Inc.
So, dear Mayor Davis, dear Councillor, it's a pleasure and honor to be called this evening before the City Council of the City of Brantford to represent Ingenia Group. As you may know, Ingenia has a long story with Brantford, and I would actually say that it's a great success story. But I started here in this city almost 40 years ago, when a man called John Lefus, with his wife Maria Lefus, just the two of them, set up Ingenia here in Brantford, which has now become one of the largest thermoplastic company in the world and employs over 500 employees globally. It's in Brantford, it employs hundreds of employees, and it's, truly part of, I would say, Brantford community and way of life. It's, as a company, we are obviously a good, corporate citizen company, good taxpayers. We are investing massively in the city of Brantford. We have recently opened an R&D, a research and development, and we continue to employ a number of people, not only from the local community here in Brantford, but also internationally, as we want to bring the best talents here in Brantford. So it contributes to the diversity of the city, contributes to the city inclusion. And it's really, as I've said, a part of, Brantford community, and we are obviously delighted and grateful to the support of the city of Brantford that we received over the past few years. Why are we here today? We are here to discuss a very important public safety issue. As you know, the success of Ingenia as a company is really dependent on its customers and how we are able to serve our customers here in Canada. And the way we do it through the rail line. And the rail line has been there for over 150 years and was shifted in the early 1980s to accommodate the city new roadway from Greenwich Street that became known as Clarence Street South. For a long time, this rail line was managed and operated by CN until 2014, when Ingenia acquired this rail line through a number company, which is a subsidiary of Ingenia. And with this, there have been, since the 1980s, a number of public incidents at the cross lane, primarily incidents related to two wheels motor vehicle that has for a long period been managed through our respective insurance. Ingenia has an insurance, the city has insurance. And for so long, whether there were an incident, a public safety issue, then there was, a kind of, I would say, retribution that was given to the people injured through the insurances. And when I took this position as Group General Counsel, that was something that I wanted to address, because I believe that the injuries that are being caused by this cross lane, have an impact in people's lives, and that they can never be, I would say, replaced by a sum of money that these people may receive. And I believe that what has been, very important for us is to work, constructively with the city to address this problem, and how to maybe have a reconfiguration of this roadway and of this cross lane. That is the reason why over the past few months, and I would say even the past few years, we have worked in Ingenia with full cooperation with the city, and particularly with the city operational team. And I'd like to thank the city operational team, particularly Jennifer Elliott, as well as obviously Commissioner Indy, for their tremendous support in trying to fix this issue and bringing a permanent solution so that no more incidents, no more accidents will occur at this cross lane. I also work extensively with the city legal department, with Kim Jolie, and I also would like to thank her team for the tremendous support that they have given us to help us to find a solution. And very recently, we've been able to, with the support of an external consultant, Stangtech, to come with a solution of realignment of this cross lane around Colburn and Clarence Street, which we believe is the best solution to permanently fix this public safety issue so that there will be no more accidents from especially from the two wheels motorcycle. So we are here to obviously support the recommended option for a better and feasible alignment that aims to change the roadway by removing the rails from the travel surface of the northbound right turn lane approaching Colburn Street and moving it eastward by a short distance. And we therefore kindly ask the City Council to approve the implementation of the proposed measure and help us to address and fix this permanent public safety issue permanently, so that no more incidents will occur at this city cross lane. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zane. We'll see if there's any questions. Any questions for the delegation? Seeing none, I want to thank you very much for coming out tonight. And so just to understand clearly, you support the staff recommendation that we'll be dealing with later this evening.
Thank you.
Yes, we do. Thank you very
All right.
much.
So we have
Thank
a
you
couple of matters we have to deal with before we address that resolution, but hopefully it will be at the very beginning of the meeting where we deal with resolutions. So
Thank you.
once again, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, so Councillor Hunt, I believe you need to formalize your declaration of conflict of interest in respect to this matter.
I do. So, yes, I have a conflict on 12.1.1. I have an immediate family member that's employed with Ingenia Polymers.
Great. All right, duly noted. So we'll move on to number 10, which is the clerk's report and communications. Councillor Hunt, if you please move the motion to receive the clerk's report on communication for December 2023.
I will move by myself, seconded by my ward mate, Councillor Carpenter, that the clerk's report on communications for December 2023 be received.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote.
The clerk's report on communication carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 11-0. Members of council voting in favor are as follows: Councillors Sullivan, Celeste McCurry, Carpenter, Van Tilburg, Samwell, Hunt, Martin, Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
All right, so we'll now move to minutes. Councillor McCreary, would you please move the motion to adopt the minutes listed on the agenda and state your seconder? So if you please read the resolution.
Yes, forgive me, Mayor, it's left my screen. As I said, I'm the mover, Councilor Martin is the seconder. We're adopting rather the following minutes: 11.1 City Council, November 28th, 11.2 Special Council, November 14, 11.3 Special Council, Private and Confidential, November 14, 11.4 Special Council, December the 5th, 11.5 Special Council, Private and Confidential, December the 5th, 11.6 John Noble Home Committee of Management, December 13, 11.7 John Noble Home Committee of Management, Private and Confidential, December 13.
All right, thank you very much. Any errors and omissions or separated votes? Yes, Councillor Van Tilburg.
11.2, item 4.5 of the minutes, I'd like separated.
Sorry, 11.2?
11.2, item 4.5 in the minutes, I'd like that one separated.
Okay,
Vote against it.
duly noted. So we'll deal with that first. Any discussion on that item? Yes, Councillor McCurry.
Mayor, is that an error or an omission?
Just ask for a separate vote on it. Fair enough. So I'll call the vote then on that item.
The motion carries and recorded vote of 8-3. Members of council voting in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillors Sullivan, Celeste, McCreary, Carpenter, Martin, Caputo, Sokoli. Members opposed, Councillors Hunt, Samuel, and Mantoborg.
All right, for the balance of the items, any errors and omissions? Seeing none, call the vote.
All the remaining items carries unanimously and recorded vote of 11-0. Members of council voting in favor are as follows: Councillor Sullivan, Celeste McCreary, Carpenter, Van Tilburg, Samuel Hunt, Martin Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
All right, we'll move to committee reports. I believe Councillor Sullivan, you have the motion to place all separate items on the floor.
Thank you, Mayor Davis. Yes, moved by myself, seconded by my ward mate, Councillor Sicoli, that all items in the committee reports, items 12.1 to 12.6, separated for discussion purposes, be approved.
All right, so we'll start then with the item 12.1.1, the Clarence Street Rail Line update, for which we note Councillor Hunt has a conflict. Any discussion? Councillor Martin.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the delegation that came. This is something that we discussed at committee of the whole, and I think council was unanimous in doing what they're asking us to do. So this is an easy one to move forward on. Thank you.
Seeing no other discussion, I'll call the vote.
Item 12.1 carries unanimously and recorded vote of 10-0, noting Councillor Hunt's declaration of conflict of interest. Members of council voting in favor are as follows: Councillor Sullivan, Celeste McCreary, Carpenter, Van Tilburg, Samuel, Martin Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
All right, we'll move to the next item that's been separated, and that's item 12.1.4, the year 2024 capital projects funding pre-approvals. I believe Councillor McCreary, you've asked for this to be separated for an amendment.
Yes, I believe you are correct, Mayor, and I'm looking for the wording, so just bear with me. And there it is. Yes, thank you very much. It's moved by me and seconded by Councillor Martin, that item 12.1.4 be amended to include the following as clause C, that an additional $70,000 be added to the cemetery master plan project CM 2202, and that this amount be funded from the Cemetery Land Development Reserve. Thank you, Mayor.
So any discussion on the amendment? Councillor Carpenter?
Yes, thank you, Councilor McCreary, for bringing that forward. Actually, because we had discussion about the cemetery monument, one of the best in the country we have, but there's some things that need to be upgraded on that and improved, and plans been sitting around for a little bit, and I'm happy to move that and support this recommendation going forward. Thank you. Thank you, Councilor McCreary and Councilor Martin.
Councillor Hunt?
Through you, and I guess this would be to the clerk, that this is actually an amendment to include the following as clause D. We're not getting rid of clause C.
Sorry, through the chair, can you repeat that question, please?
So it says that item 12.1.4 be amended to include the following as clause C. I note that the original resolution already has a clause C. So should that be clause D? We're not getting rid of the original clause C, are we?
Through the chair, I believe that's correct. I'm just going to look at Councillor McCreary to see if that was the intent, to add an additional clause to not repeal and replace clause C.
Mover and seconder are happy to number that with any letter the committee sees fit to add.
Thank you for the clarification.
Any other discussion regarding the amendment? Seeing none, I'll call the vote on the amendment.
The amendment to item 12.1.4 carries unanimously on recorded vote of 11-0. Members of council voting in favor are as follows: Councillor Sullivan, Celeste McCreary, Carpenter, Van Tilburg, Samuel Hunt, Martin Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
Any discussion on the resolution as amended? Seeing none, I'll call the vote on the resolution as amended.
The motion as amended carries unanimously and recorded vote of 11-0. Members of council voting in favor as follows: Councillor Sullivan, Celeste McCurry, Carpenter Van Tilburg, Samuel Hunt, Martin Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
All right, so I've been assured that 12.1.5, the Vision Zero Road Safety Committee report was separated. I just don't know who asked for it to be separated. Nobody asked for it? No? Okay. So, Mr. Clerk, was it formally included in the vote in the? Okay, so it was not included in the.
12.5.1 was separated, was it not? Just in case there's a reversal of,
Yeah, that one was, we've already dealt with that separately. There was some confusion about 12.1.5, which is Vision Zero Road Safety Committee. It was not included in the resolution that began. So any discussion, and not seeing any, we'll just call the vote on it.
Item 12.15 carries unanimously and recorded vote of 11-0. Members of council voting in favor as follows: Councillors Sullivan, Celeste McCurry, Carpenter, Van Tilburg, Samuel Hunt, Martin Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
Okay, we'll go to the next item. It's been separated. It's 12.2.3, Housing Stability Services Update. Councillor Samuel, you asked for this to be separated.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. I would just wanted to say that there's been a really great report from our staff, and just for the folks that are at home, I wanted to ask if you could share some of the enhancements that we can expect to see to the shelter system.
Through the chair, Katerina Knazovich, Manager of Housing Stability. Yes, I can share about the report. So we have increased beds within our shelter system by 19% for the winter months. Within the contracts, we will have increased system oversight and have required for increased case management functions within the shelters and clear expectations on service delivery along with reporting requirements. We will be creating a standardizing process across all shelter systems. And we'll begin auditing files within the shelter system as well to ensure consistency across all shelters.
Thank you. I know we're working towards even more improvements, but I think that we're off to a good start with that. Thank you.
All right, not seeing any further discussion, I'll call the vote.
Item 12.2.3 carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 11-0. Members of council voting in favor are as follows: Councillor Sullivan, Celeste McCurry, Carpenter Van Tilburg, Samuel Hunt, Martin Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
All right, the next item has been separated, 12.2.5, which is the housing development mapping. Councillor Samuel, you asked for this to be separated.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, I have an amendment for this one. May I go ahead?
I don't see anyone else who wants to speak to it, so go ahead.
Okay. So moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Van Tilburg that for community housing in the city of Brantford, that staff be directed to develop future after units are completed or identified in the table 3 of 2023-719, community housing development in the 10-year affordable housing action plan in a manner that will progress to a balanced amount of community housing across the city wards at the conclusion of the Affordable Housing Action Plan 2030. And just to that, I really just wanted to say that I think it's important that we work towards a balanced approach to where we're placing our city housing throughout our wards and our neighborhoods. And the staff did an excellent job with that report, really detailing the differences in where all of the housing is placed. If anybody wanted to look at that report and see the different amounts of housing that's in each ward or where they're placed, that would be a really interesting read. And that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Question through you to the clerk. This is essentially the same as a amendment that failed at social services. Is this in order to bring this forward to the council tonight?
Yes, it is. It's not a reconsideration because council hasn't made a decision yet. It's coming
Okay.
to us as recommendations.
Okay, I'll make the same arguments I did at social services then. Part of the reason why there's more social housing in Ward 5 is because Ward 5 includes the downtown. That's where the services are for people that need them. And to put them up in the third ward or the top of the fourth or the top of the second ward, they have a long ways to travel to get to the services that they need. And I think that does a disservice to the people that will be living in those houses. The transit system in Brantford isn't the greatest, but it would take them a while to get to the downtown from the north end. And so I don't think that it's appropriate that we direct staff to try and find locations in the wards that have little social housing now, because there's a reason why they have little social housing. It's not close to the downtown. So I'll be voting against this amendment, and I hope it fails myself. Thank you.
Councillor Sikoli?
Yes, we did have a very thorough discussion about this at social services, and it was shared with me at that time through staff that passing this amendment would sort of handcuff us from being able to build where land became available and when it became available. And I think if we have a shortage of affordable housing and we have this need for affordable housing, we shouldn't be putting up red tape for our staff and able to in them moving forward. So for that reason, I'm not going to be supporting this, but I wanted to express that I very much appreciated Councillor Samwell asking for this report to come forward, because it was really eye-opening. I don't think the results of what came forward was shocking to anybody. I think it was exactly what we were hoping to get from this. And I think moving forward, I'm certainly going to be making decisions with these numbers in mind and making sure that we create a more balanced community. It's extremely important to me that we make sure that all neighborhoods within our community have all types of demographics, whether that be financial or cultural, because I do believe when we have an individual who is maybe struggling in life and we take that individual and we put them in a neighborhood with, you know, some well-to-do folk, that individual will tend to elevate themselves to the level of those who they are surrounded with. So I do think it's important to create a balanced community. But like I said, I don't want to see us with any more red tape before us when we're looking to build affordable housing. I think we should be taking each project and looking at it in its own, the words alluded on its own merits. Thank you. And not necessarily taking into account the location at that moment. So thank you so much, Councillor Samwell, for bringing this forward. I do appreciate having these numbers, but I'm not going to be supporting it just for those reasons. Thank you.
Councillor Van Tilburg, you're next.
I have a question first. Marlene Ave, is that we have some property on Marlene Ave available?
Through the chair, Mary Mustin, Director of Housing and Homelessness Services. Yes, there's property around 5 Marlene Avenue. There's property right across the street at 10 Marlene Avenue that can be used for development.
Thank you. And that's just it. Does this tie staff's hands? You bet it does. And that's exactly what our community has been asking us to do, to share the load across the cities. We need all these, we do need all these rent geared to income, affordable housing income bills. We do need the city to pick up slack, but it can't all continue to go into Ward 5. I know when the province offers up monies to do a development, they will give a very short timeline. And the first thing staff does is say, we've got property here on Marlene Ave. And what you are essentially doing is saying that by not accepting this resolution, Marlene Ave will be getting more affordable housing, rent geared income, supportive housing, you name it, whatever it is that social services is doing, that property is listed, as is other properties in Ward 5. Ward 5 is heavily burdened. you're right, it is no surprise, and we've been feeling this burden for decades upon decades, and it's time for everyone else to pull their weight. A roof over your head and food in your belly is not particular to one specific ward. It can be done anywhere. Buses go to the mall from the 4th ward, the 3rd ward, and the 2nd ward just as easily as they do from the 5th ward. Maybe not so much the 1st ward. I hear there's some traffic problems. But I think if you understand, yes. In fact, the community has been saying, we need more affordable housing, but please not here. The resources, when you say that they are in our ward, they are not. And if you really want to look at the locations, they're specifically heavily dominated in Eagle Place. So when you don't do these restrictions that we've asked for, that spread it out. And if you see it, we are carrying 40% of the load in one ward for a big community. You're telling the community you're getting more, deal with it. And I think if you wish to have that discussion, I will gratefully hold a meeting at Doug Snuck's and have you come out and meet the community, and they can give you an update on their thoughts.
Councilor McCurry. Well, a hard act to follow, I must say. I want to speak highly of Councillor Samwell. She's done good work on this file, and staff put together a good report for us to consider. I'm going to agree with my two colleagues across the way. However, I'm not sure that this does a service to our need within this community. I'm a bit surprised to hear folks stigmatized as being referred to as a load, which should be pulled. I think that maybe is misspoken to some extent. We provide services to those in our community who are in need. We have, I think, about 72 units in the 3rd ward on Memorial Drive. And I don't think of those folks as a load. They're valuable members of our community. They contribute. And I don't know what's meant by pulling your weight either. I hope that's not a reference to the couple of pounds I put on this Christmas season, because I do intend to take that off after New Year's Day. But I can't help but think that there still in this modern day and age exists a stigma about to be spoken to by some folks that marginalize folks that need supports in our community with respect to housing affordability and housing availability. And I think if we're going to divide things up 5 ways, and of course there's the county too. I don't think anybody mentioned the county, but they've received a blessing in terms of some affordable housing there. We've got some that's being built in the 1st ward now. But I think if you want to equate things, it's going to be a while before you can build anything in the new Ward 2 and in the new Ward 3 and possibly in the new Ward 4. And I won't speak for other councillors, but we're a number of years away before we're going to be in the ground with anything north of Power Line Road. And I'd hate like heck to not be able to provide opportunities to people in need in this community because the Ward 3 can't meet its quota of builds for the next 5 or 6 or 7 years. So I'm not going to support the amendment. I really do appreciate the intention, and I don't disagree with the intention, but I just think that it lacks in terms of practicality for us to be able to put into effect the things that we want to do in our community to support folks in need. Councilor Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think that I don't know if I don't think the council expects the past. We had the discussion of social services. We all agree that we should be building social housing all over the community and lots of it. We need lots of it. So I guess the message here is that if we can sell a piece of property in Eagle Place and buy a piece of property in another part of the town, help spread that out, that's an option for us. But we don't have land. We need land. So going forward, we're going to have to look at buying land north of Power Line Road, east and west. We have land on Power Line Road, quite a bit of land on Power Line Road. Actually, there should be a housing project scheduled for there, quite frankly, when that gets developed and when the block planning comes forward. I'm sure there will be. Not unlike what's happening in Shelters Lane with I think it's 177 units, if I'm not mistaken. So we need lots of it, and just, there isn't a need, I want to say, there isn't a need to say that it's closer to services, that's why it's built there. That's not an argument that I can accept. Because you have one in Ward 3 where I actually grew up in that 70 unit. I think it turned out pretty good, quite frankly, and my wife does anyways. And so, that's the whole idea of spreading social housing around, is so that you do have options and you have children going to school knowing there's options, that they can go to college and they can go to university and they can achieve things that their neighbors are achieving. That social housing doesn't mean it's a place where they're stuck to. So that's the concept of moving it around. And I don't disagree with the idea of spreading social housing around. It certainly is needed. It would be nice if we had the provincial and federal governments that actually believed in social housing, really believed in it, put dollars towards it, real dollars towards it. And it's not a social housing isn't something municipalities were ever designed to provide, nor should they. Taking the money out of the tax base, provide for social housing is a provincial and federal responsibility, and it has been for generations until they decided to start downloading it. We didn't think it was going to have an impact on us. It certainly does now. So just saying, we really need our MP and our MPP to step up here and say, and do some loud scream, and you have to fund social housing across the province of Ontario and across the country. Like, you got to get with it. You can't just say to municipalities, it's your problem, and the taxpayer has to have their taxes increased to build social housing when it's not really our responsibility. We seem to be taking on more and more and more of the provincial and federal government's responsibilities, while they yank our taxes up higher and higher and take more out of our pockets. It's frustrating. Councilor McCurry's giving me the cheering. So I just wanted to leave it at that. I want to thank my council colleagues for listening and the comments, the complimentary comments they made to our colleague, Councilor Samwell and Councilor Van Tilburg. Thank you.
Councilor Sless.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We create social housing in a different way now than we did when we had concentrated areas of everyone living in a complex that was in the same situation. We now diversify, do we not, to make the developments sustainable, so that we have market rents, we have below market rents, we have a mixture of folks living in every development that we make from here on in. It's not a stigmatized building or a stigmatized development anymore. Is that not correct?
Through the chair, yes, that is correct. We have mixed incomes in all of the buildings.
Yes, thank you. Based on that, Mr. Mayor, and based on not wanting to put up more roadblocks and more problems in trying to develop and to try and find locations for it, I think we're overselling the fact that it's social housing, and it's not. It's a mix of housing. And there might be some in there, absolutely, but there will also be market rents and folks that don't need a hand to get through life. So for those reasons, I won't be supporting it either, Mr. Mayor.
Not seeing any other speakers, I'll call the vote.
The amendment fails and record a vote of 4-7. Members of the committee voting in favor: Councilors Carpenter, Van Tilburg, Samwell, Hunt. Members opposed: Councilors Sullivan, Sless, McCreary, Marn, Caputo, Sicoli, and Mayor Davis.
Well, let's move to the next item then, which is the clerk's department. We'll go to the amended resolution. Any discussion on the amended resolution? Unamended resolution, I should say. Yes, Councilor Van Tilburg.
Could staff specify exactly how many of these homes currently exist in Ward 5 from the report?
I can answer that. I'm Brian Hutchings, CEO. Ward 5 has 959 units, or 35% of the total in the city, not including county.
Thank you. So 900's a far cry from 72 and probably a couple hundred in particularly other wards. We still have to spread it around. whether that resolution failed or not. And you do create a stigma when you create more and more and more in one particular area. And quite frankly, I almost feel it when counselors are stating things that you know, you have, it's all has to be down in this area. That's why they're not supporting it. That in itself is a stigma. What we were saying in a ward as we have welcomed plenty. It's all over Ward 5. I haven't seen that same welcoming thought across the other wards. When somebody suggests that it's not a burden, well, then you do need to provide a lot more services. And we don't get the benefits of having a significantly large sports complex being built like it's done in West Brant, or the newer schools that are going to be built in the North End, or the new schools that were built in West Brant. We have to currently bus students out of our ward to go to other schools. Affordable housing is often children who need a place to stay. They need a place to go. We don't have all those recreational facilities like exists across the other cities. It's just good planning. And that's all we're trying to reinforce. I agree with the report and what they've dedicated. I know that staff will do their best in order to hear what the concerns of the ward are, because it's very apparent on what has been done. It's significant. So I'm still going to support this, but I can tell you that if we ever get a memo like I had earlier, somebody says, well, we just did a build in West Brant. Do you know where that build was going? That build was coming into Ward 5, and I fought vigorously, and I had to wear some crap on that because I thought we'd had enough, and I was happy that Ward 1 took it on. We were actually prepared to buy property to do that build in Ward 5. So Ward 5 just seems to come up as a location. And what we're asking is that Ward 5 doesn't have to be first. We've done our part. I'm sure we'll do our part again. But if something comes up where it's a development on Marlene Ave, we will hold that public meeting. And I hope the public, the councilors, the mayor will listen if it ever comes to that. And I certainly hope it doesn't.
Right, not seeing any other hands raised, I'll call the vote.
Item 1225 carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 11-0. Members of council voting in favor are as follows: Councilors Sullivan, Celeste McCurry, Carpenter Van Tilburg, Samuel Hunt, Martin Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
Great, we'll move to item 12.3.4, the Clerk's Department Policy Amendments. Councillor Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd like to apologize to my councillor colleagues because this should have been dealt with in committee of the whole, and I missed it. I missed it entirely until I got home and I realized what it was. And I missed it simply because it's a 59-page report. It's fairly lengthy. And the concerns I had were in page 56 and 57 of the report. This is the report about how council operates, our procedural bylaw, our code, how we treat each other. I'm a firm believer, members of council, that all council members are to be treated equally. In fact, it says so in our code of conduct that all members of council will be treated equally, that we're be treated respectfully and honorably, as we should. But there's something in there that I just have trouble with, because there was an item in there that says that sort of codifies some of the things we've been doing that I disagreed with. And that was that members that are online virtually speak last, if at all, quite frankly. So I have a problem with that, because that's suggesting, I think that's contradictory to treating each member of council equally. In fact, I think it's very unfair and it shouldn't be in place. The reason I say that is any member of council that doesn't appear here that because they need to be online, or even any committee level, they may have a cold. They may not want to spread that around. And so why should they be denied a right to speak or ask a question? Well, you might say they're not denied because they get to speak last. Well, if there's 10 minutes for a delegation and there's 2 minutes left and someone at home, online virtually puts their hand up and 6 members of council speak, that member doesn't get to speak at all under what we've been practicing. The rule is very clearly states that members will be allowed to speak in order in which they put their hand up. So I have a couple amendments to that, amendment to correct that going forward, Mr. Mayor. And another item in there, it also eliminates all the committee levels, all our committees now are online where they can be. That's a great thing. Public can go online, they can see a committee meeting, they can see how the discussion went. That's a great thing. It's good for communications. In fact, the new technology of having people be able to access council online is a plus for democracy, in my opinion. They get to understand what the debate was and what the councilors were feeling around the table. It's full of honesty, integrity, and clarity when that happens. And so so one of the committees that is an exception to this rule is the airport board. Now, I understand why that is. The airport board why would they want to drag themselves all the way down to council chambers so that they could have a meeting that could be televised? So I'd like an amendment to allow that exception for a time period until such time as they can get their board meeting accessible for virtual meetings. And I don't know how long that will take, or where the funding will come from, whether it's from our IT or how that works. But I don't want a complete exclusivity. I want it based upon what the need is. And so when the time is right, if other members have spoken, Mr. Mayor, I've got a couple amendments to move. Thank you.
Does anybody else want to speak before we consider the amendments? Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you, Mayor Davis. I too had a concern with the speaking order, only because I don't feel we want to take the chance in promoting anybody coming into council chambers is not feeling well. As we all know, we have certain passions about certain topics. And if we're feeling like we're not going to get an opportunity or might not get the full opportunity to speak to that item, there's chance that the person may come in and put everybody else in jeopardy of any type of illness they might be carrying. And I just think that we can eliminate that by just doing it as a first come, first serve.
All right, Councillor Carpenter, why don't you put your amendments on?
clerk
You're
will
going to do them one by one?
Yes, sir, please. The clerk will put the motion on the, and I thank the clerk's office for their work on this, by the way. And I believe that item 12.04 be amended to reflect that members be recognized in order that they indicate to speak regardless of location by amending the following. That, I think I'll read the one on my front of me, it's easier. Thank you. That chapter 15.18.7 of chapter 15, which reads, members physically present shall be recognized by the chair first for speaking opportunities, followed by virtual, and replace it, reinstate section 15.76. This is what's there now, which reads, when 2 or more members indicate a wish to speak, that the chair shall name the members who have gave such notification first, in order, I guess.
So it's moved by yourself, seconded by.
Second by Councilor McCurry, sorry.
Okay. Any discussion? Councilor McCurry.
I will add, thus it is bound to pass. And I agree completely. And when I'm in the chair on committee meetings, I sometimes forget that we've adopted that practice, and I tend not to pay any attention to it anyway. So I think it's probably a good thing. Councilor Carpenter is quite correct that we need to be consistent. And as I said, what we've been doing to date, we've been applying a practice as opposed to a policy or a procedure. And this will adopt it as part of our policies and procedures.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote on the amendment.
The amendment to item 12.34 carries unanimously on recorded votes. Members of council voting in favor are as follows: Councilors Sullivan, Celeste McCurry, Carpenter, Van Tilburg, Samuel, Hunt, Martin, Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
So Councilor Carpenter, you said you had one more?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Maybe the clerk can put that up there as well, and it will need some changes, and I look forward to Councilor Martin, who sits on the board's comments. that item 12.3 before be amended to amend chapter 15 to add that the Brantford Airport conduct recorded hybrid meetings. And it says effective January 25th, but I would like to say effective when technically possible instead of giving a time link, because I don't know how that'll work. So, and that's again seconded by Councilor McCurry. And just an item to say that the police service board shouldn't have to come. They meet at the airport. I've been on the board before. It's very productive out there. It's helpful to be actually at the airport when they have their meetings, unless there's other issues that they need to deal with. So I don't want to restrict them from having those meetings, but I want to eventually move us towards full virtual meetings where everybody can be involved. Thank you.
So if I can just confirm, Councilor Carpenter, so that it's not effective January 2025, but it's effective when
Technically feasible.
technically feasible.
And then they'll work towards that.
And Councilor McCurry, that's,
Were you inviting me to speak?
no, just asking if you agree with that.
Because I will.
All right. Okay. All right, speaking, I think Councilor Martin has his hand up, and then you, Councilor McCurry.
Thank you. First, a question through you to staff. So do I understand this correctly that the airport board meetings would still occur at the airport? It's just a matter of when the technology is available, we'll set up an owl on the table and do the meetings virtually?
Through your worship, Michael Bradley, Commissioner of Community Development. Yeah, I think that's the understanding. So
Okay, that I can support then, because as Councilor Carpenter said, it's important for the airport board to meet at the airport because it's easier to get a handle on some of the issues when you can look out the window and actually see the airport. We certainly have a lot of issues that we need to deal with at the airport, and including primarily building more hangars. That's the primary source of revenue for the airport is the hangar rentals. So the more hangars we can build, the quicker we can become even more financially self-sufficient than we already are. So I don't have a problem with the meetings being available on YouTube, just like all the other committee and council and committee of the whole meetings. But I appreciate the extension until technically feasible that allows us to continue to meet at the airport until such time as we can start to broadcast the meetings. And we have taken steps at the airport to make the meetings accessible. We've moved them upstairs because there's no handicap access to the basement room where we used to meet. But now we've delayed the meetings until the cafe is closed and we can set up in the cafe so that people can utilize the ramp to the cafe to access their meetings. So I don't have a problem with this amendment now that I've got clarification from staff, and I can support it. Thank you.
Councilor McCurry?
Let me just say that was excellent, the way Councilor Martin introduced the advert for more hangar space. And I was happy to second this for Councilor Carpenter as well. I think it's advantageous when we can be as not to belabor a phrase that we hear a lot, open and transparent. And there may be some other committees that we want to give direction to move in this direction as well. Police Services Board might benefit from, perhaps a new location to meet and perhaps being able to be televised in the council chamber here at City Hall. So there's more to be done. And I think inherent in what Councilor Carpenter introduced in this resolution is that it'll be an initiative that the airport board and city staff will work out, and the timing remains to be seen. But we don't want to place additional onerous responsibilities on the clerk's department either.
All right, I'll call the vote on that amendment.
The amendment to item 1234 carries unanimously on recorded vote. Members of council voting in favor are as follows: Councilors Sullivan, Celeste McCurry, Carpenter Van Tilburg, Samuel Hunt, Martin, Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
Any discussion on the resolution now that's been amended? Seeing none, call the vote.
The main motion as amended carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 11-0. Members voting in favor: Councilors Sullivan, Celeste McCurry, Carpenter Van Tilburg, Samuel Hunt, Martin, Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
All right, the next item that's been separated is 12.4.6 quarterly status report of contracts awarded. Councilor McCurry, you asked this to be separated.
Thank you very much, Mayor. And I just want to highlight some of the work that we're doing here in the city of Brantford. And some of the really interesting and technical things that our city staff manage throughout the year. So this is a report that talks about the contracts that we've awarded for July and August and September of the year past. And I just want to point out a few things that we're doing. For instance, we've got design of water main road reconstruction on Hillier Crescent. That's $113,000. We've got consulting services for the design of road, sewer, and water main construction for Drummond Street, $73,000. So watch out, Hillier Crescent and Drummond Street. We're coming to get you. Asphalt paving, $1.79 million. We're buying a Swazi card, and you may wonder what that is. And I think it's a machine that helps line sports fields, and that's $64,000. We've got Bell Homestead roof replacement, $170,000. We've got a roof replacement at Riverside Gardens as well, which is $154,000. Freeborn Ave, we're coming for you too. And I think that's probably the dead end section of Freeborn Avenue, which is, and I know Councillor Carpenter won't disagree with this, it may possibly be the worst piece of pavement that we've got in the city of Brantford. And it's good that he's finally looking after that long-standing problem. So we've got a roundabout design for Colburn and Dalhousie Streets, $186,000. And I presume that's the Y intersection where Canadian Tire was at one time. Trail alignment under the Lorne Bridge, that's well underway, $424,000. New rubber surface paving for Dufferin Park, $159,000. Really cool thing, we're buying a WeGo swing, which is, I'm not sure what park that's going to, but it's $73,000. And it's a swing that allows folks who live in wheelchairs to get on and finally be able to do swinging, right? It's a very cool thing and indicative of some of the good work that we're doing in that department. Silver Bridge landscape improvements, $141,000. The crypt at Greenwood Cemetery, there's a lot of work to be done there, $69,000. Daubeny Park trail paving in the beautiful 4th Ward, $284,000. The mausoleum's being replaced on Mount Hope Cemetery, $337,000. And lastly, but not leastly, in the lovely 2nd Ward, Waterworks Park parking lot reconstruction, $625,000. And this is all work that's overseen by our professional staff. Some of this is probably underway because it was in the quarter ending September. Some of it may be done. But just wanted to point out to folks some of the things that we do in the city of Brantford that largely go unnoticed.
Councillor Carpenter, did I see it?
Yeah, you did.
Go up? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Freeborn is from Rock Street to the dead end, and it is the dead end piece is certainly the worst piece. And just to the residents, if you're watching, we're coming with information. We're asking lots of questions about the road and how the sidewalk will look and how the trees will look and where the parking will be. What that won't be left out. In Silver Bridge Park, it is, I would say 99% done. I think the only thing I would like to say is to members of the council on that regard, we are moving a lot of pathways through parks, connecting neighborhoods to neighborhood. And that becomes, it's part of our Vision Zero program. But as we do that, those those pathways become part of the sidewalk. That's where the residents travel from one area of Linden Hills, for example, to across another part of the neighborhood. So when that happens, those sidewalks are our sidewalks. They need to be cleared in the winter. And they also need proper lighting so that it's safe for people that are using those sidewalks. It's a whole different concept. We have to reconsider how we're doing these things, and staff are working on that. And finally, Mr. Mayor, I think you and I had this conversation, the Bell Homestead roof. Bell Homestead is a National Historic Site. This is where the federal government has dropped the ball. This federal government's responsibility to take over this National Historic Site that we've been maintaining at our expense and our taxpayers' expense. And it should be, this falls on the federal government to do and should be doing it in the first place. We should be sending a letter off to the federal government to say, this National Historic Site has been declared a National Historic Site. Why aren't you paying for it? Thank you.
Not see any other hands raised. Call the vote.
Item 1246 carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 11-0. Members of council vote in favor are as follows: Councillors Sullivan, Celeste McCurry, Carpenter, Van Tilburg, Samuel Hunt, Martin Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
Right, the last item that was asked to be separated is 12.5.1 zoning bylaw amendment 264 Erie Ave. I assume, Council Van Tilburg, you asked for this to be separated.
I did, Marion, through you. I've separated this to vote against it. The area is 264 Erie Ave, and I think to most people in the neighborhood, they probably may refer to it as a castle or something. It's quite a unique building that's that anyone that lives in the area can identify. One of the things that with the new development is that it really doesn't fit. It offends the character of the neighborhood. It's a 47 unit apartment building, a number of stories high. And the problem that I have, not just with the size of it, is that we have an intensification corridor, but we're handling it different as we go up and down. And I don't think the intent was to have multiple apartment buildings up and down the Erie Ave. Erie Ave is a minor arterial roadway. It's quite narrow. And I've investigated to find out it's the only one set up that's that narrow, major way in and out of the city. And we are trying to intensify before we have any plans to make a road accommodate such intensifications. And I don't find that fits the neighborhood either. It is beside the point. One of the things I'd like to know is that if this property is, the building is demolished, what is the procedure for the demolition of the building?
Somebody answer that.
Through the chair, Patrick Booser, intermediate planner, long range planning. So right now the subject property is subject to demolition control. A non-routine application would come before council for a decision.
So that would come before us.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. The other thing that I want to point out is that there are currently 66 trees on this property. And we're a community that is trying to increase its tree canopy. 48 of those trees are going to be removed. That's a lot of trees with no actual replacement management. The visual impact of the building that's going up certainly doesn't have the character of the neighborhood. Nothing in the plans showed anything like that. It was very much an unappreciated design in the neighborhood. There was about, I think 70 people that came out to express their interest or opposition to the build. And it was virtually unanimous in that room that this is the wrong build for that area. We literally have up and down a block or two away, different builds with intensification, and we didn't get this kind of pushback. And that means that in a lot of the people that attended each meeting are the same people. So accepting stacked townhouses literally blocks down the road without a pushback, and yet we're told that this is the one that's got to go in here. It really didn't seem to fit the character of the neighborhood. And when I say offends, I think if you were in the meeting, they made it very clear to me that they were offended that I was standing up there helping to bring this project forward. And we're just trying to moderate what's going on. We're trying to bring the best vision for the community to the community. And this one here just doesn't seem to fit in right. So that's why I've separated it so that I would vote against it. And I'm sure my ward mate will probably join me in that endeavor.
Any other discussion before I call the vote? Seeing none, we'll call the vote on item 12.5.1.
Item 12.5.1 is lost on a recorded vote of 4 to 6. Members of council voting in favor as follows: Councilors Sless, Sokoli, Marn, Mayor Davis. Members opposed, Councilors Sullivan, McCreary, Carpenter, Van Tilburg, Samuel, and Hunt.
Yeah, so now we have to We need a resolution on the floor that describes why the resolution did not pass. Did you want to help us there, Counselor Van Tielborg?
Well, I'll just start out with, after proposed development offends the character of the neighborhood, the proposed level of intensification is not appropriate in that it's too significant in that one spot. That's where I would say that the term not appropriate would exist. That would be what I can see off this chart here as a lot of reasons that are eligible for plan to go to the OLT if necessary.
Right. So just to clarify, then you want because you have to put forward a resolution. So you'd be moving that the resolution or that the proposal was not accepted on the basis that one, it was incompatible with the neighborhood.
Correct.
Two, the density was inappropriate for that location.
Correct.
You want to put anything else in there?
I think that's all that's
Yep.
necessary.
Okay. Impact on traffic. How's that?
Well, we can put impact on traffic on there for sure, and you can put in that the development puts an unduly increased burden on city infrastructure based on the width of the road.
Okay, good. So we have a seconder for that. Counselor Samuel, do you want to second that? Yep, okay. Any discussion on that? Counselor Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to staff, the developer will have the opportunity to take this to the Ontario Land Tribunal, will they not?
Through your worship, yes, they will.
And are they obligated to take the exact same plan to the tribunal, or can they propose something different?
Through the chair to the counselor, Nicole Wilmot, Director of Planning and Development Services. No, they can propose something different.
Okay, so we may end up with something that's more dense, that's more massive and more traffic at this location because we decided to vote this down.
That is a possibility, correct?
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we should be confining the discussion to what the reasons are that would justify it being turned down. So Counselor Secoli, did you want to speak to us?
Not anymore.
Seeing no further, Counselor Hunt, did you want to?
Yes, I was pleased to turn it down based on and I'm never lived in Ward 5 or whatever, but I know the exact building based on the structure. So I don't know if we can add something related to the heritage of the building.
Well, we have the resolution. Do you want to make an amendment? Put one on the floor.
So yes, my amendment would be adding to, so I'm looking to see what we've got here. That the building, I'm looking at the original resolution, it was indicated in clause E that the Brantford Heritage Committee include it on the Heritage Register because of its design value. So perhaps.
Well, you're looking for an amendment, Counselor Hunt. Why don't you, I suggest your amendment should read to preserve a building that has unique heritage features.
Perfect. That sounds
Okay.
wonderful.
Seeking a seconder on that one? Counselor Carpenter, any discussion on that amendment? Counselor McCreary.
Mayor, through you to staff, I wonder if staff could speak to the significance of this addition to this council turning down the application before us. Within the I believe at the planning committee, we required a heritage impact assessment from the developer, and we also referred this to the Heritage Committee. So in as much as that has not occurred yet, it's not located either on our Heritage Register or on our list of designated properties. I'm not sure that including that at this time is a is a wise move, as it may cloud whatever hearing we may come to later and be contested, perhaps quite rightly so, by the proponent. So I would suggest that either the amendment be withdrawn or the council votes in opposition to it.
Right. Any other comment regarding the amendment before we take the vote? Yes, Councillor Van Tilburg.
Just want to state that I concur with Councillor McCurry that adding that aspect may be more harmful right at this time.
All right. Not seeing any other further comment, I'll take the vote on this amendment. Amendment of an amendment.
The amendment to the amendment is lost and recorded vote of 4 to 7. Members of the committee voting in favor are as follows: Councillors Sokoli, Caputo, Marn, Mayor Davis. Members opposed, Councillors Sullivan, Sless, McCreary, Carpenter, and Tilborg, Samuel, and Hunt.
All right, so we still have the amendment on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll take the vote on the amendment. Yeah, it's actually the resolution, sorry. Yep.
The refusal of item 12.5.1 carries and recorded vote is 7 to 4. Members of council voting in favor are as follows: Councillors Sullivan, Sless, McCreary, Van Tilburg, Samuel, Hunt, Mayor Davis. Members opposed, Councillors Sokoli, Caputo, Marn, and Carpenter.
All right, so we have no urgent reports. There are no resolutions. We have one notice of motion before us this evening, and Councillor Van Tilburg, if you please read the title of your notice of motion.
Reliable and accessible public rail transit, CN Rail.
All right, so move to bylaws. And the bylaw listing has been revised to include bylaw 216-2023, being a bylaw to establish a building fleet reserve fund. So Councillor Caputo, if you could please move the motion for first and okay. Yeah, so Councillor Caputo, if you would please read that and exclude bylaw 212-2023, as that's in respect to the 246 area.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bylaws moved by myself, seconded by my ward mate, Councillor Sless, that leave be given to the mover and seconder to introduce the following bylaws for the first and second reading. 196-2023 bylaw to amend parking bylaw for 14488, being a bylaw to regulate public parking in the city of Brantford, Banbury Road, Schedule 16 pickup zones. Public Works Policy 021, amending on-street parking regulations. 197-2023 bylaw to amend parking bylaw 14488, being a bylaw to regulate parking in the city of Brantford, Colonial Street, Schedule 7, parking prohibited at any time. Public Works Policy 021, amending on-street parking regulations. 198-2023 bylaw to amend parking by bylaw 14488, being a bylaw to regulate parking in the city of Brantford, Drummond Street, Schedule 12, alternate side of street parking. Public Works Policy 021, amending on street parking regulations. 199-2023 bylaw to amend parking bylaw 14488, being a bylaw to regulate parking in the city of Brantford, Franklin Street, Schedule 7, parking prohibited at any time. Public Works Policy 021, amending on-street parking regulations. 200-2023 bylaw to amend parking bylaw 14488, being a bylaw to regulate parking in the city of Brantford, Morton Avenue, Schedule 7, parking prohibited at any time. Public Works Policy 021, amending on-street parking regulations. 201-2023 bylaw to amend traffic bylaw 3783, being a bylaw to regulate traffic in the city of Brantford, Brant County Road 18, Schedule 8, speed regulations, Public Works Policy 017 guidelines for establishing posted speed limits. 202-2023 bylaw to amend parking bylaw 14488, being a bylaw to regulate parking in the city of Brantford, Lincoln Avenue, Schedule 26, accessible zone. Public Works Policy 021, amending on-street parking regulations. 203-2023 bylaw to amend traffic bylaw 3783, being a bylaw to regulate traffic in the city of Brantford, Vision Zero Road Safety Committee report, Committee of the Whole Operations report. 204-2023, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 7210 by amending corporate policy 007, Citizens Recognition Award, and adding corporate policy 054, petition policy, Committee of the Whole, Planning and Admin. 205-2023, being a bylaw to amend Chapter 15 of the Municipal Code Procedure, Committee of the Whole, Plan and Admin report. 206-2023, being a bylaw to adopt Amendment Number 1 in the City of Brantford, Downtown Community Improvement Plan, Committee of the Whole. 207-2023, being a bylaw to adopt the Emergency Management Program, to adopt the Emergency Response Plan, and to repeal bylaw 181-2021, Committee of the Whole, Planning. 208-2023, bylaw to update the Heritage Grant Program by repealing and replacing bylaw 256-2021, being a bylaw to update a Heritage Grant Program 2023-571. 209-2023, bylaw to amend bylaw 7210, being a bylaw to adopt various City of Brantford policies to amend corporate policy 010, delegation of authority policy. 210-2023, a bylaw to provide for an interim tax levy and to provide for the payment of taxes for the year 2024, Finance Committee report. 211-2023, bylaw to authorize a temporary borrowing of monies to meet until the taxes are collected, the current expenditures of the corporation for the year of 2024, Finance Committee report. 213-2023, bylaw to establish a municipal accommodation tax, Municipal Accommodation Revenue Task Force, City Council, November 28th, 2023. 214-2023, bylaw to authorize the execution of agreements individually dated and listed on Schedule A attached hereto. One agreement between the corporation and City of Brantford and the Grand River Conservation Authority for Category 2 programs and services in 2024, Committee of the Whole. 215-2023, bylaw to confirm the proceedings of Council of the Corporation of the City of Brantford with respect to meeting held on December 19th, 2023. 216-2023, being a bylaw to establish Building Fleet Reserve Fund 2023-712, Finance Committee report.
So does anybody want bylaws separated first and second reading? Councilor Van Tilburg.
213-2023.
Councilor McCreary.
I must say that that is quite a coincidence. That's the same one I would like separated, Mayor.
All right, so let's deal then with 213-2023 discussion. Councilor McCreary.
Mayor, thank you. Well, it's been a long time in arriving, but we tonight have the bylaw to establish a municipal accommodation tax. And thank you to Sarah and Kara and the members of the committee. It's been a long haul. This is the final hurdle that we need in terms of creating our municipal corporation and staffing it up and appointing directors to get on with this and begin to collect revenues that the city can put to good use starting in the second quarter of next year.
Councilor Van Tilburg.
And with that, I've separated for the sole purpose of voting against it, as I just oppose another tax on a tax.
Any other discussion? Councilor Caputo.
Well, I'm going to vote in favor of this because I agreed with it the first time it came up. And I think that as we move forward, this bylaw could actually be extended into further opportunities that present themselves to us, especially when we're looking at all the opportunities that present themselves within the city of Brantford and what our hopes are for at one time having to become a very, very well-attended tourism spot within our province. So thank you.
Any further discussion? Yeah, I will say this, that I think I'm going to vote with Councillor Van Tilburg. I agree. Another tax. The last thing we need is another tax. I'm going to vote with you, Councillor Van Tilburg, showing leadership on this issue. Any further discussion? Councillor Martin.
Yeah, I think it's important that this pass, when we look at the declaration that we're the tournament capital, this is money that can be utilized to enhance that and ensure that we live up to the moniker of tournament capital. So I think this is one that's good. And it's great to hear that there's a couple members of council and the mayor who are opposed to tax increases. So I look forward to your support on keeping taxes down when we get to estimates.
Councillor Scully.
Yes, I will be supporting this tonight. And I think just last meeting, we were sitting here saying that we need to put our money where our mouth is and step up and become that tournament capital that we're talking about being. And that money needs to come from somewhere. So this is a nice compromise, I think, and it will give us the opportunity to leverage that tax into some great new buildings here in town, perhaps helping our sports council. So I will definitely be supporting this. And thank you to everyone who separated it so we can have another lively discussion on it this evening. Thank you.
Councillor Sless.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wasn't going to speak to this, but you're right, it's a tax. I agree with that. And it's a tax that our citizens are paying in most cities that they go to. When folks come here, it's not our citizens paying the tax, it's a room tax. And when they get a room here to attend an event or whatever reason they're here, we collect that tax as is done in almost all other cities where we send folks and teams and tournaments and things going on. And our citizens are subject to that tax in neighboring communities. So it would only seem fair to me that people coming in from the neighboring communities would be subjected to the same treatment that our folks are when they visit the other cities. So I'll be supporting it, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Samuel.
So I will be voting against this as I did the last time it came in front of us, because I feel that we're already taxed enough and we certainly don't need to add another tax.
No, you can't. You cannot speak to it again. Sorry. You've already spoken. Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too will be supporting this because once again, this is not our city residents that'll be paying this tax. It's visitors from other municipalities that'll be paying it. And why not have them help build our city?
Exactly. Okay, so we'll call the vote.
The first and second reading of bylaw 213-2023 carries and recorded vote is 7-4. Members of council voting in favor are as follows: Councillors Sullivan, Celeste, McCreary, Hunt, Marn, Caputo, Sokoli. Members opposed: Councillors Carpenter, Van Tilburg, Samuel, and Mayor Davis.
All right, so let's deal with the balance of the bylaws that were not separate for discussion. Mr. Clerk.
All bylaws not separated for the first and second reading carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 11-0. Members of council voting in favor are as follows: Councillors Van Tilburg, Samuel, Carpenter, Hunt, Query, Marn, Celeste, Caputo, Sullivan, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
All right, so we'll move to third and final reading of the bylaws. If I can have, I believe, Councillor Sokoli, you have the resolution for third and final reading.
Yes, moved by myself, seconded by my ward mate, Councillor Sullivan, that all bylaws having received a first and second reading be taken as read a third time and be finally passed and signed by the mayor and clerk.
So does anybody want any of the bylaws separated for third reading for discussion purposes? Councillor Van Tilburg.
The same bylaw, 213-2023.
All right, well, this time, what I'll do is let's deal with all the ones. Well, does anybody else want anything else separated? Assuming not, all the rest, we're going to have the vote, please, Mr. Clerk, and then we'll deal individually with this item. So we're going to deal with the bylaws that have not been separated. Okay.
All bylaws not separated for discussion purposes for the third reading carries unanimously on recorded vote. Members of council vote in favor are as follows. Councilors Sullivan, Celeste McCurry, Carpenter, Van Tilburg, Samuel Hunt, Martin Caputo, Sakoli, and Mayor Davis.
All right, Council Van Tilburg.
Just going to separate it so I can vote against it.
Yeah, sure. Any discussion? Council Caputo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to make it clear that this is not a tax imposed on the ratepayer. Unless the ratepayer decides to spend an evening within the city of Brantford. I just came back away for the weekend and I must have had 30 taxes imposed on me within 2 days. This is an opportunity for us to generate revenue to be able to do things in the city without charging the ratepayer in a tax increase. So as far as I'm concerned, I thought this was really this is no bearing on anybody within the city unless they're doing something in here. And I still believe as we move forward, there's going to be a huge opportunity for us to be able to look at a different revenue stream within this tax code that we're looking to improve. So again, I will be supporting this.
You know, a tax is a tax is a tax. And if you're either a tax fighter or you're not a tax fighter. And today I stand with the tax fighters and I will not stand by as we impose another tax. Any other discussion? Councilor McCurry.
Mayor, I think that would make a good election sign to post on Brand Avenue.
Seeing no further
Let
discussion?
me say this about bylaw 213. This is a bylaw to establish a municipal accommodation tax. And has been eloquently stated by some of my co-workers, this does not apply to people who live in the city of Brantford. It applies to people that come to Brantford to attend events and sporting weekends. It's other people paying for our stuff. And if we don't have other people pay, and I'm going to say this very slowly, if we don't get other people to pay for our stuff, then we have to pay for our stuff. And those who say a tax is a tax is a tax will be back here in January adding things onto the budget because other people aren't going to pay for it. So what do we lose if we don't do this tonight? We lose the opportunity to do new things to enhance our tourism base, to enhance our sport tourism base. We lose the opportunity to do all those good things on someone else's nickel. We also lose the opportunity to have someone else pay the way for us, as we do when we go to other cities. So I say, if you vote against this today, you not only are going to be increasing the taxes on our already beleaguered, but I might add, not one of the highest tax communities in Ontario, but rather the second lowest tax city in province of Ontario of greater than 100,000 people. So go ahead, vote against it. We'll remind you of this at budget time. Thank you.
Councilor Martin.
Unfortunately, Councilor McCurry stole my thunder. I was going to explain that by voting against this, it raises taxes on our citizens because we don't have people from away paying it. And our citizens are paying this tax when they go to other communities to give people in those communities a tax break. So a vote against this is a vote to increase taxes in Brantford because we won't have money from other people to pay for the things that we want to do to enhance our tournament capital position.
Okay, that's, Councilor Carpenter, you want to join in?
I wasn't going to speak to this item, but when members of council suggest that how members of council here vote is going to cause the taxpayer to have a tax increase, I have to speak. So conversely, this would mean if this passes, our taxpayers should see a decrease, if that were to be true. And I don't believe that it is. I just want to clarify that. I really take exception when members of council suggest that by not doing this, I'm voting to increase taxes.
Councilor Sullivan.
Mayor, if I may introduce a point of clarification.
No, you may not. Councilor Sullivan, you're next.
Municipal accommodation taxes.
You're out of order.
It cannot replace.
You're out of order.
current spending.
Cut off his microphone, please. He's out of order. Counselor Sullivan, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know one thing all of us heard a year ago as we were going around talking to all the residents. And what they asked us was to come up with creative ways to increase revenue without hitting the ratepayer in this city. Well, this is one of those creative ways, and it's just something we need to do in order to save any increases coming later.
All right, I'll call the vote, not seeing any other hands raised.
The third and final reading of bylaw 213/2023 carries and recorded vote is 7-4. Members of council voting in favor are as follows. Councillor Sullivan, Celeste McCreary, Hunt, Martin, Caputo, Sokoli. Members opposed, Councillors Carpenter, Van Tilburg, Samuel, and Mayor Davis.
All right. That completes bylaws. So we'll now go into, well, we get the ward announcements while we sign the bylaws. And we'll start with Councillor Van Tilburg.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's, and be safe for over the holidays. We don't want anything bad to happen to you.
Councillor Samuel.
So I just wanted to thank everyone that came out to the meeting last night for the proposed new arena. And I wanted to let people know that if you didn't have the opportunity to come out last night, to continue to share your comments on the Let's Talk Brantford page, or if it's something that's not on there, you can also email your counselors. And I just wanted to wish everybody a happy holidays and I hope to see you on New Year's Eve at the Sanderson Center. Thank you.
Councillor Carpenter.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, first of all, I'm going to put in a shameless plug. I'd like to wish my beautiful daughter-in-law, Rebecca Gabriel Carpenter, happy birthday today. Rebecca and my son live on our street, and they are the parents of 3 of our wonderful grandchildren that we enjoy very much. So that's my shameless plug. Happy birthday, Rebecca. We love you very much. To the citizens of Ward 4, I was by Woodman Pool a couple of times in the last 2 or 3 weeks. It was full of water, and it's holding water, and it's fine. And it's now drained. The cement around the edge has been done, and the mayor and the ward council, in fact, all the councilors will be there in the spring when we have the new community garden done and the greenhouse is done, and we'll be celebrating a wonderful additional facility in the ward. Secondly, I want to thank the East Ward Echo Place Neighborhood Association. These are a terrific group of people, just fantastic work that they do. So I want to thank Mark, who's created 16 and over pickup basketball every Tuesday night at Woodman Community Center. It's no cost to anybody. And tonight is the last night of this year, and it'll start again in the new year. And I want to thank the Neighbor Association for Gift of the Hearts, is where they provide food. They fed 252 students last week at 9 local schools. And they do this every week with volunteers. Tremendous work that the East Ward Echo Place Neighborhood Association is doing. And their Christmas fundraiser this year raised an additional $550 towards the community. And I just want to thank them for their great work. It's overwhelming. And other than that, I'd like to send to my councilor colleagues, thank you very much, and wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a good New Year with your family and friends. And I guess I'll be hosting, Mr. Mayor, the New Year's Eve. So we'll welcome everybody to New Year's Eve. Look forward to it. And just everybody, I wish everybody safe and healthy, happy New Year with you and your loved ones. Thank you. Do something good for somebody, go see someone that's living alone and then wish them Happy New Year or say hello to them, because their loneliness is a terrible time to be at Christmas time.
Yeah, and I want to thank you very much, Councillor Carpenter, for pinch hitting for me on New Year's Eve. It's great to have a fellow council member you can rely on. So, Councillor Hunt.
Yes, I just want to, first of all, to all the constituents in Ward 4, thank you for entrusting me to be your counselor for 2023. And want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. And on behalf of myself and my family, to you and yours.
Okay, well, now we'll go to Councillor Sokoli.
That was a surprise.
I'm not going to say anything shocking right now, just that I celebrate Christmas. So Merry Christmas to everybody who's watching tonight. But I hope everyone has a great holiday season, celebrating their preferred or their respective holidays. And everybody stay safe. Happy New Year, and see you in January.
Counselor Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I would like to thank everyone who came out to the first ever Ward 1 free skate at Lions Park on the weekend. We're going to make this an annual event, so we'll see you next year. Even Mayor Davis came out, and so did the CAO Brian Hutchings. Second of all, obviously I too celebrate Christmas. I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. And New Year's Eve, Councillor Carpenter will not be the only one at the Sanderson Center representing the city. So come on out and have some fun at the Sanderson Center, and then watch the big ball drop and fireworks at Harmony Square.
Counselor Sluff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too would like to welcome, I'd like to welcome them, but I would also like to wish them all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I would certainly invite people from across the city to come to beautiful Homedale in Ward 2. You'll get a Santa rush that you can't even imagine. It's been on TV. It's incredible. If you haven't taken your kids or your grandkids there, please do before the holiday season ends, because it's a spectacular view that you have to see it. So please make every attempt you can to get down there. The folks did a lot of work to get it to where it is. Go down there and enjoy it. Further to that, sorry, Mr. Mayor, if you haven't been already, come back to Ward 2. Glenhurst Gardens is in its full glory over there. I can see it from the end of my street. It's beautiful. The cars are pulling in and out all night long. Make sure you take your kids, your grandkids, and yourself. It puts you in the Christmas spirit to see what's going on at Glenhurst. It's beautiful. A lot of work was done. Our city staff did an amazing job at decorating. Don't miss it. It lasts until I believe it's New Year's Eve. So please get out there and enjoy the season.
Counselor Caputo.
Well, again, as Councilor Sluss said, Dufferin Ave is just the Santa Claus blooming onion there. I mean, it's just everywhere, and it impedes on you and the rest of Homedale. So congratulations and thank you so much for the award for all those residents in that area that are really in the spirit. January the 4th is Brantford Station's game night, a very active neighborhood association. I'm glad that they do a lot of stuff, and Councilor Sluss and I are very fortunate to be able to support them in every which way we can. To everyone, have a very Merry Christmas. Enjoy family. These are blessings, and we are certainly blessed individuals. And I wish every one of my council associates to have a very Merry Christmas and enjoy your families as well. Thanks.
Councilor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too would like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I know a lot of people are going to be celebrating on New Year's. All I ask is that you do it responsibly. If your celebrations involve alcohol, please ensure you have an alternate way of getting home, a designated driver or rideshare, or take a taxi or Uber, because we want everyone to arrive in the new year without a debilitating accident or something because someone was drinking and driving. So please drive safe, especially on New Year's Eve, and hopefully everybody makes it into the new year happy, healthy, and ready to go. Thank you.
Councilor McCreary.
Mayor, I'd like to think you were saving the best till last rather than I won't go on anymore. But anyway, I just want to be the bearer of some good and some bad news. Dundas Street has been paved. However, the road closed signs remain up. So I can't tell you to drive on it. But take it from there at your own risk. Congratulations, finally. Jen, thank you very much. It's one of the most talked about construction projects of the year, certainly. And it's pretty cool the way we've narrowed some of the intersections. It's going to be a lot safer for folks to drive on. With respect to this holiday season, for those of you who light the candles, I hope you had a happy Hanukkah. For those of you who are celebrating Christmas like let's remember that while we're making Merry Christmas and New Year's, there's a lot of people out there making life safer for us. And I'm speaking of the police, firefighters, ambulance drivers, the folks from Public Works who cleared the snow, the folks that man the emergency rooms, and all those who will be working while we're making merry. So let's think of them. And as has been said, Merry Christmas to council members, to staff, and hopefully everybody has a great holiday and come back prepared to work even harder in January, Councillor Carpenter.
Well, since I get the last word, I'd very much like to extend season greetings to all those who are watching tonight and all other residents of Brantford. You know, and as we embrace the holiday spirit this month, I suggest or hope the spirit of the season will be with you, including peace, joy, togetherness, and the warmth of cherished traditions. And I hope you will all have time well spent with those you love the most. So I wish all of you, your family, your friends, and your loved ones a very safe, a very wonderful, and a happy and prosperous new year. See you all after January yeah, the clerk is so shocked. Yeah. I'll see all of you tomorrow night, but in terms of our next meeting, it's Committee of the Whole. And it's January the 16th. That's right. Thanks very much. Have a great night.